a shimmering establishment of white marble and gold. Morrigan thought it looked a bit like a cathedral and a bit like a wedding cake. A brightly lit marquee across the top read, "New Delphian Music Hall presents Gigi Grand and the Gutterborn Five." "Are we going in?" Morrigan puffed. A stitch bloomed painfully in her ribs. "What? This place?" Jupiter cast a scornful look up at the New Delphian. "Heavens, no! Wouldn't be caught dead." With a furtive glance over his shoulder, he ushered her down an alleyway behind the New Delphian, leaving the crowd behind. It was so narrow they had to walk in single file, stepping over piles of unidentifiable rubbish and bricks that had crumbled loose from the walls. There were no lights down here. It had a strong smell of something dreadful that got stronger the farther down they went, like bad eggs or dead animals, or maybe both. Morrigan covered her mouth and nose. The smell was so noxious she had to fight the urge to vomit. She wanted more than anything to turn round and go back, but Jupiter kept marching behind her, nudging her along. "Stop," he said, when they were near the end of the alley. "Is this... No, wait. Is it?" She turned to see him inspecting a section of the wall that looked exactly like every other section. He gently pressed the grouting between the bricks with his fingertips, leaned in to sniff it, and then gave the wall a tentative lick. Morrigan gave him a look of horror. "Oh, stop that! What are you doing?" Jupiter said nothing at first. He stared at the wall for a moment, frowned, and then looked up at the narrow patch of starry sky between the buildings. Thought so. Can you feel that?" "Feel what?" He took her hand and pressed it to the wall. "Close your eyes." Morrigan did so, feeling ridiculous. Sometimes it was hard to tell when Jupiter was being silly or serious, and she suspected on this occasion he was playing some stupid joke on her. It was her birthday, after all, and although he'd promised her no surprises, it would be just like him to pull an elaborate, embarrassing stunt that ended in a room full of people singing "Happy Birthday." She was about to voice her suspicions when... Oh! There was a very subtle, fuzzy tingle in her fingertips, a faint humming in her ears. "Oh!" Jupiter took hold of her wrist and pulled it back, ever so slightly from the wall. Morrigan felt resistance, as if the bricks were magnetized and didn't want to let her go. "What is that?" she asked. "A little bit tricksy," Jupiter murmured. "Follow me." Leaning back, he placed one foot on the brickwork and then the other, then, casually defying the law of gravity, proceeded to walk skywards up the wall, hunched over to avoid hitting his head on the other side of the alley. Morrigan stared at him in silence for a moment, and then gave herself a little shake. She was a Nevermoorian now, after all, a permanent resident of the Hotel Deucalion and a Wundrous Society member to boot. She really ought to stop being so surprised whenever things took a slightly odd turn. She took a deep breath, nearly retching again at the horrible smell, and copied Jupiter's actions exactly. Once both her feet were planted on the wall, the world pitched out of kilter and then righted itself again, so that she felt perfectly at ease. The dreadful smell instantly disappeared and was replaced with fresh, crisp night air. Suddenly, walking up an alley wall with the starry sky stretching out in front of her seemed the most natural thing in the world. Morrigan laughed. When they emerged from the vertical alley, the world lurched right side up once again. They were not, as Morrigan had expected, on a rooftop, but in yet another alleyway. This one was noisy and bustling and bathed in a sickly green light. She and Jupiter joined the end of a long queue of excited people, held back by a